to be sometimes later, maybe next year. And so today I would like to introduce the Vancouver School Board's K-12 program to our valued agents in Vietnam. So what I'm going to do today is to introduce the education system of Canada, especially and then I will introduce our program, the Vancouver School Board's education program for elementary and secondary school students who would like to come over to study together with our Canadian students. And after that, I will also go over some graduation requirements if the student would like to receive a high school diploma from British Columbia. And at the end of the session, I will leave some time for question and answer session. If you have any questions you want to ask me, then I will be pleased to answer all your questions. Especially, I think a lot of agents would like to know how we're doing in Vancouver. And from my understanding, a lot of parents in Vietnam are now very worried and concerned about sending their kids to study abroad during this time. And certainly, we hope that the upcoming spring, February 2022, is the second semester, the beginning of the second semester of the school year. And we hope that we can actually be better prepared and well equipped for the students to come over to Canada to continue their studies. So once again, thank you very much for joining our information session and welcome to our presentation today. First, I would like to introduce to you the beautiful city of Vancouver. I think it is not, it is a very popular location that a lot of Vietnamese parents and students know. So Vancouver actually is the third largest city in Canada. And within our city, the population is about 630,000 people living here. And it is a very multicultural society. People from around the world would like to live, study, and explore the city. And not to mention that I think some of the families in Vietnam, they know that there is a community of Vietnamese in Vancouver, as well as many other communities from different ethnic backgrounds. So we actually learn to live together, people from different ethnic backgrounds, peacefully and happily. So do actually come and try yourself. It's a very friendly and peaceful city. And the schools located in Vancouver are all located in the residential areas. For local students who live in Vancouver, they don't pick a school or they don't choose to study at one particular school that they like. What we do here in our system is we do not rank our schools, but we actually divide the whole city of Vancouver into different catchment areas. And students who live within the catchment areas will be assigned to the schools within their area. So it is actually a system where we combine the community together with the education system. Students who live in the same area, they're neighbors. Families know each other, and students know each other. And when they go to school together. For elementary school, it's from kindergarten to grade 7, and they grow up together, and then they move to a secondary school all together. So it's closely connected with the community. This is how our education system is built. So all our schools are actually located in the residential areas, easily accessible. And there are lots of shops, cafe, and a lot of different activities, recreation activities, and cultural activities that people here can participate in. And it's a very convenient location, only 20 minutes away from our international airport. And it's also a gateway to many cities. I think, although Vietnam, there is no direct flight to Vancouver, and I hope soon there will be, but then it's also very conveniently connected to just one stop over and then transfer to Vancouver. So Vancouver basically is a gateway to the rest of Canada. So this actually page show you some beautiful scenery of Vancouver. I don't think this is anything new to our friends in Vietnam. Vancouver is a very beautiful city, and the weather is very mild. We don't usually have snow, even though if sometimes we have snow in wintertime, they got washed away because rain and snow, and that's why you will see Vancouver is a very green location. It's very refreshed and green, and in the fall you can see the famous red leaves, the maple leaves actually are all around us. So you will enjoy our location and our city very well. Same as our students. So now compare the cost of living among different cities in the world. On this map, you will see Canada's largest and most expensive cities are relatively more affordable than many other cities around the world, especially those in Asia. It's very expensive. Hong Kong actually ranked #1 as the most expensive city around the world back in 2016, and I believe it is still the same situation. For example, Shanghai, Tokyo, or Singapore, they are all ranked within the top 10 in the world. Come to Canada, Vancouver as the third largest city, we rank number 142. So, and Toronto ranked number 143. So students coming to study in Canada, it's comparatively more affordable. Now I would like to talk about the government structure in Canada and how it is related to the education system across our country. So Canada is a federation of 10 provinces and 3 territories. So on this map here, you will see there are 13 provinces and territories. And on the very left-hand side, the lower left-hand side is a province called British Columbia. The abbreviation we call ourselves BC, represents British Columbia, the province of British Columbia. So Vancouver is located within the province of British Columbia. And Toronto is located in the province of Ontario. So Calgary is located in Alberta. So there are a lot of popular cities that you may know of, but then we may be located in different provinces. If we need to travel from Vancouver to Toronto, it will take us 5 hours of flight traveling from Vancouver to Toronto. So you can estimate how long the distance is. And in fact, Canada is geographically is a very big country. Although our population is very small, there are only 30 million people living across Canada. So compared to, I think, for example, Ho Chi Minh City, I think you will have more population than the whole, I don't know, the whole population of Canada maybe. And I know Shanghai, they have over 20 million of population in Shanghai, so which is already 2/3 of our population in Canada. So Vancouver's location, as I mentioned to you, we are located in British Columbia. So we are located on the most southwest coast of Canada, where we need to drive from Vancouver to Seattle in the United States. It will take me 3 hours to drive there. Some people, if they drive very fast, it might take them 3 hours, but in a normal speed, it will take about 3 hours. So it's very close to the United States. And on this map, you will see locations of other big cities in different provinces. So now to the very right, it's showing you a map of the city of Vancouver. And I know some of the agents actually work with more than one school district in British Columbia, especially in the Lower Mainland. What is Lower Mainland or the Greater Vancouver area? There are about 20 cities around Vancouver, and we called ourselves the Greater Vancouver area, or sometimes we call ourselves the Lower Mainland. So sometimes you might work with Burnaby School District, Coquitlam School District, Richmond School District, Surrey School District, New Westminster School District, West Vancouver, North Vancouver. These are all cities around Vancouver, and we are located close to each other, but we represent a separate Board of Education. So I'll explain to you more in details, but then I am actually working for the Vancouver School Board, and we represent 110 schools within the city of Vancouver. So now this chart is showing you how the government structure affects the education system across Canada. So Canada has 3 levels of government. The first level of government is federal government. The second level of government is provincial or territorial government. And the third level of government is municipal government, or we call city government. So each level of government, they have different responsibilities and power over different jurisdictions. So education and welfare and health are the main responsibilities under the provincial government. As I showed you earlier in the map, there are 13 provinces. So there are 13 provincial or territorial governments under the federal government. And within each provincial government, there is a Ministry of Education that develop the curriculum of the education for the students within the province. So each provincial government is responsible for the education of that province. And so how do they work? Within the Ministry of Education, there are 2 departments or 2 different areas regarding K-12 education. One side, one part of the government is responsible for, we call ourselves a public education. And the other kind of section of the Ministry of Education have a department responsible for, we called independent schools, or you call them private schools. So private schools and public schools are both under the Ministry of Education, but because public and private schools actually are run quite differently, so then there are 2 different two different departments taking responsibility of the 2 areas. So within the Ministry of Education in British Columbia, each city within the British Columbia actually has a Board of Education, or we call ourselves school district or school board. So under the Ministry of Education, within each city, there is a Board of Education. And so as I show you the map of Vancouver and Burnaby and North Vancouver, so there is Board of Education or school board within each city to provide educations to local students under the government funded education system. So the local students aged between 5 and 18, they can receive free education from the Board of Education, which is under the Ministry of Education in the provincial government, free of charge. And in Vancouver, we have a Vancouver School Board. So in Burnaby, there is Burnaby School Board. Richmond, there is a Richmond School Board. We are all under the Ministry of Education, but we run separately and individually according to the guidance of the Ministry of Education. So basically, I am a civil servant because I work for the government. So the other part of the education system is the private sector. So the private school basically actually is run privately. So if anybody or any company would like to run a school, they will have to fulfill all the requirements set by the Ministry of Education and submit the information to the government, and the Ministry of Education will have to approve the application. If that's approved, then they will release a license for this company to run a school, and then the school will be responsible for the policies and setup and the arrangement for the school. And so they will actually charge a fee, because a private school basically have to be self-sufficient. They have to collect tuition fee to run the education at the school and deliver to the students who are enrolled in a private school. And usually private school is run like individually. Maybe one school, they have like 300 or 500 students. A school district, it's a much bigger arrangement and organization, directly monitored by the Minister of Education, basically by our government. And so, for example, in Vancouver, we have 52,000 students and we have over 110 schools. So this is the difference. And as I mentioned to you earlier, each province has a Ministry of Education. So sometimes when you actually come across some representatives coming from another province, for example, Toronto School District is going to promote their program to you, and you will find out, oh, how come there's school fees different, or the graduation requirement is different, yet they're all coming from Canada. The reason is because each of the school districts belongs to a Minister of Education of their own provincial government. And so Toronto actually follows the guidelines or guidance from the Minister of Education in Ontario. So we might be very similar, but not exactly the same. So this is how the government structure affects the education system in Canada. So now I would like to go over some information about the Vancouver School Board. We are one of the largest school districts in our province. So this map shows you the location of all the schools in our city. So we have 18 secondary schools, 90 elementary schools, and 2 adult schools. So total student population is 52,000. And as I mentioned earlier, Vancouver School Board is part of a public school system of the province of British Columbia. We offered elementary and high school programs to students aged between 5 and 18. And if students reached 18 years old and they still haven't fulfilled the high school graduation requirements after they have finished grade 12, they can move to our adult school program to continue with their high school studies, and that's also government funded for our local students. And adult high school actually is part of the public education system in the K-12 system, and it is not like a night school for adults. It is a platform that we set up for students age 18 or above, for them to achieve their high school programs credits in a timely manner, in order for them to apply for post-secondary institutes or universities in a much faster way. Adult school basically offers 4 terms a year. Each term actually is 9 weeks long. So for example, if a student finished grade 12, however, the student will still need 2 or 3 courses in order to graduate. Then the student will be moved to an adult school. And each term, the student can finish 2 courses. So let's say if the student still needs 3 more courses in order to graduate, then the student will register for 2 terms at the adult school. So for the first term, the student will register for 2 courses, which is the maximum capacity, and finish the 2 courses within 9 weeks. And then register for the second term to finish the 3rd course in the second term for another 9 weeks. And so within half a year, the student will collect all the credits that's needed and move on to post-secondary. So this is this is actually very different from a night school in Asia. So it's also part of the public system. And for international students coming to Vancouver, some students will need a homestay arrangement. But from our experience, quite a number of students from Vietnam, especially, if they choose to come to Vancouver, they do have relatives or friends who can host them in the city, and that's why they like Vancouver, because they have some friends here that they can take care of the students. But some students, if they don't know anyone here in Vancouver, of course, through Bright Can Achieve in Vancouver, they have an office here, and they can help the students from Vietnam, even from Vietnam, to find homestay and a custodian for the students. And please feel free to connect with our Bright Can Achieve co-workers in Vancouver or in Vietnam to make that arrangement for your students. And credentials earned in the Vancouver School Board are recognized worldwide. And so there's a question: what's the age range for elementary and high school students? So I will actually go over it in a bit more details, but then elementary, in the Vancouver school system, we have elementary schools and secondary schools. Elementary schools run from kindergarten to grade 7 for students from 5 years old to 12 years old. When a student reaches 13 years old, they will be moved to our high school to attend grade 8, the first year of secondary school, finish 5 years of secondary school, and graduate at the age of 17 or 18 and finish grade 12. So international program of the Vancouver School Board, for now, we have over 1,200 students coming from 40 countries who are studying in our Vancouver's public schools, elementary and secondary. And it composed of less than 3% of the total student population in our program. When the students come to Vancouver, they are fully integrated with local Canadian students. So about Vancouver schools, as I mentioned, we have over 110 schools. The program actually is very well organized, and we have lots of choices of elective courses for our students. We receive sufficient resources and funding from our government to provide a high quality education system to our local international students across the country. And so at our schools, when an international student join our program, they will first be hosted by our international program, and we arrange orientation for them. And then they will report to their schools on their own, and they will be part of the student at the local school in the Vancouver area, and they will study together with our local students. Not only that they will improve their English skills, but they will have a chance to study many interesting elective courses. And we offer lots of student clubs and activities such as drama. As you can see in this photo, the student actually is preparing for their drama and play. And before they take place, and they actually took a group photo, and it is a photo that they took at Castellano Secondary School, and you'll see some students studying in a classroom environment, and you'll see one of our schools in this picture here. And also there are other schools that's very popular and familiar among international students and parents. For example, you probably have heard about some popular schools that a lot of international students would like to participate in. University Hill Secondary School, it's one of the newest school in our school district. And it is within, this is within the University of British Columbia campus, so it's within a walking distance to UBC. And Churchill Secondary School, and they actually have a famous IB program and mini school at Churchill Secondary School. Hamburg Secondary School is a rising star, and they offer fabulous fashion design program and robotic program at the school. Point Grey Secondary School is also a famous school for a lot of international students who would like to actually join the school programs. It's a very comprehensive school, and if you look at Point Grey Secondary School, it's a very beautiful school from the outside, because the school is I think it's over 100 years old and well maintained. So then next, I would like to individually show you some school information. So I mentioned University of Secondary School. It is a school actually that offers now from grade 8 to grade 12 instead of grade 9 to grade 12. grade 8 to grade 12, host students at the school because of its location within the UBC campus. A lot of students would like to join this program. Their academics is very strong and a very competitive school in our district. So University Hill Secondary School is also very new, although it's the second smallest school in our district, but then they offer a full range of academics and elective courses for our students. And these are some pictures that you can see the inside of the University Secondary School. And then another school that we would like to introduce is Mcgee Secondary School. It's another comprehensive school and hosting over 1,200 students. The strength is their arts and sports program. They've got a strong and outstanding fine arts program. For example, their choir program and band program actually receive a lot of international competition awards. And the drama group is very outstanding, and they do actually deliver plays to local community every year, except that, in the past year, due to the pandemic, then that cannot be delivered, unfortunately. And they also have a special program called SPART program. So students who are strong in sports and art, so we call it SPART, S-P-A-R-T-S. It's combined of sports and art. Students, if they're strong in these two areas, they can particularly apply for this program, but they have to be admitted by a special committee. And so Mcgee Secondary School has just been renovated. It's a very beautiful school located in a prime area in Vancouver. And of Secondary School, so they actually have an open design concept, and this actually is cafeteria in the open area, and all the benches and tables will be restored in a storage area after lunchtime to leave open space for our students to use every day. And so you'll see a beautiful auditorium of Mcgee Secondary School because of their strong arts program. So there are lots of performance, for example, play, orchestra, band, choir performance that will take place at the school. So particularly their Mcgee Theatre is very beautiful. And another school is Eric Hamburg Secondary School, as I mentioned. Star. Although the Vancouver School Board does not rank our schools, but then other private research company may rank some schools in our province. And Eric Campbell Secondary School's ranking actually is climbing up rapidly across different areas. So that draws the attention of the parents and students to really want to come over and join their program. And their sports programs outstanding. I mentioned to you there are other fun and great programs that they offer at Eric Hamburg. For example, their fashion design is very good, and you'll see they do in this picture here, they have fashion show every year performed by the students in the textile and fashion design program. And a lot of local designers in Vancouver actually is from Eric Hamburg Secondary School. And there is also a robotic program that's very outstanding. And Eric Hamburg is one of the very few robotic, international robotic competitions. Students from Asia, students from Europe, students from US, they will come to Eric Hamburg to compete for their robotic design. So they design robots and they compete with each other. And so the robotic program is very outstanding in Eric Hamburg. And not to mention their academics, it's also very competitive too. And Eric Hamburg, and this is the picture of Eric Hamburg Secondary School. So Eric Hamburg Secondary School actually, so you will see this field here, Eric Hamburg Secondary School. Their school campus is very big. And this year, we are building another school in this field. So we call it's already in construction starting this summer. So we are building another school in this field. The purpose is we call this new school a swing school. So because there are so many schools in our district, and there is a ongoing project to upgrade and renovate our schools. It's an ongoing process. So we have to upgrade and renovate. But when the school is under renovation, the students from that school may have to be moved or study at another location temporarily. So now this year, it's a 3-year project that our district is going to build a swing school here. So if there's any other renovations, the student may study at the swing school. So Castellano Secondary School is our newest school in our district. And this is another popular school that among European students and some students from, for example, Thailand and Vietnam to attend at the school. This school actually has the least number of Asian students studying at the school. The reason is because the school offers a French immersion program only for the only for the local students, and that makes so the French immersion program is part of the program within Castellano Secondary, and another portion is offering like another the big program, the main programs offering the regular academic programs in English to the local students and international students. Because of that, a lot of students with European background would like to study in the French immersion program, and so that makes the Asian student population in this school comparatively much smaller than at the other schools in our district. And so students from Italy, students from Germany, students from Brazil, Mexico, as I mentioned, Thailand, and some students from China and Vietnam, and they would like to actually study at this school. So the outstanding program in this school is sports and arts. Again, they also have a drama and play performance every year at the school, and this school is located in another prime location of Vancouver. It is within a walking distance to the popular Castellano Beach, and students, if they would like to integrate with the local education system and learn the Canadian culture, you will find this school quite special for for gaining experience as an international student. And this is also the newest school in our district. It's a beautiful school that combines. If in this picture you see a little bit a small. This picture actually shows you the special design of the school. This wing is a new wing that's added to the old school, which actually is a heritage building over 100 years old. So when we rebuilt the school, the designer maintained the old part of the school as a heritage exterior wall attached to the new building, but in fact the inside of the school is completely new. As you can see, this is the interior of the school. This is the woodworking workshop, and this is the school, and this is the new wing, and there's another old wing, looks like a castle. So it's a very special school. Point Grey Secondary School I mentioned to you is also a comprehensive school, and they have over 1,200 students, and they have an overall very competitive sports and offer to our international students. And as you can see, this picture here is a beautiful old school in maintaining in a very good condition. So learning and teaching styles in our school district, basically all our schools are co-ed schools. That means boys and girls can study it. They study at the school together, and they don't have to wear uniforms. And we encourage them to learn in a cooperative way and not a competitive way. And they participate in different school activities, and it's not a passive learning style. Children and students are not taught the answers, but to find out answers by themselves. And a homestay and custodian I mentioned to you, Vancouver actually is quite a special location. Less than half of the students in our program need a homestay arrangement because they have a local connection here in Vancouver, and that's very common. I think the same for students who choose to study in other big cities in Canada. For students who do not have friends or relatives who can take care of the students, they can actually apply for homestay and custodian and arrange custodians through our co-workers in Vancouver at the Bright Canada Chief Office, and so they will stay with local host families, and they actually are supposed to join the family activities, and the family usually will provide 3 meals a day. Because all our schools are located on bus routes within the residential area, so international students have to learn how to get around the city and go to school by public transit, that is by public buses. And some agents actually ask me if there are school buses offer to pick up students from their place to school, and the answer is no, because actually the majority of our local students in Vancouver, because they will be assigned to study in school within their catchment area. So that's very close to their home. So there is really, in a public system in big cities like Vancouver, there's no need for us to provide school bus service. So either they take a bus to school or they walk to school. And in Canada, a lot of us actually do drive. So sometimes the parents will drive the student to school and pick them up from school. And sometimes the host family will do that, but then we don't expect the host family to do pick up and drop off of the student for daily schooling. So the student will have to learn how to go to school by bus. And so international student expectations. One of the agents asked, "What's the age to join secondary school?" The first year of secondary school is grade 8, starting from 13 years old. So 13 years old is going to join a secondary school the first year. So international student expectations, same as many other schools around the world, we don't have any particular expectations of the student, but then same as others, we expect them to attend the schools regularly. If they feel sick or they cannot go to, and also doctor's note, and they will have to have good study habits. They have to join the school activities. And one thing difference is, if they come to study in Vancouver, we want them to be curious about cultures, because as I mentioned earlier, Vancouver and all over Canada is very multicultural. So you will meet with people from around the world, and we all learn how to respect each other in Canada and live in harmony. And so for international students coming, first joining our program, we hope they would like to learn other cultures and respect other people from different ethnic backgrounds. And of course, when they live with host families, they have to respect the host family's rules and participate in host families' activities. And expectation of the student is a requirement. The student or the parents or the agent is responsible for identifying a custodian for the students, and they will have to arrange we can connect the students to our coworkers in Vancouver and to make that arrangement. So students who come to study as an international student, they will have to apply for a study permit through the invitation of our program. And once that they receive a study permit, then they can actually come over and live with a host family. And because a study permit usually have validity period. For example, usually a student, the first study permit usually is about 1 year long, but I've seen some study permits actually which is valid for three years. So it's different depending on the officers at the Canadian immigration at Canada Immigration as of how that they issue a study permit or approve a study permit. But then it is important the students will have to renew their study permit or extend their study permit at least 3 months before it expires. And we hope maybe our coworkers, if students actually need help, if the students need help, they can easily actually find our coworkers in Vancouver at the Bright County Chief Office. They have a licensed immigration consultant to help our students to take care of all this process. And student support. We do provide a full support to our international students once that they landed in Vancouver. And for example, now we are extremely busy preparing for our new students at this time. So this year, our program, our school year will start in September. First day of school actually is on September the 8th. So the student, because of the pandemic, the student will have to come a little bit earlier to self-quarantine. So yesterday was supposed to be the last day the student have to arrive in Vancouver. Our school the first day on September the 8th, and our orientation this year and as well as last year, we actually it's hosted online. So the students, even though they're during their quarantine, they can actually participate in our orientation through online activities. And so we have district orientation and school-based orientation to tell them how to prepare themselves to go to school on the first day. So orientation, we have a full team of staff. We have the international office staff. We have our teachers. We have our counselors. We have our advisors. Everybody actually is working together to provide an orientation for our new students. This year will be scheduled from August the 30th until September the 2nd. And as mentioned, we have international student counselors, multicultural workers, and district staff, helping our students, and we are all actually multilingual. So for example, in our office, in the international office, I speak Cantonese, Mandarin, and English, and we have Japanese staff, we have Korean staff, we have Spanish, Vietnamese, we have staff who speak Portuguese, and so it's very multicultural. So you can see actually Canada is very multicultural, in fact. So you will actually meet with people from around the world. And then we also arrange a district student excursions, that is field trips, for international students to connect with each other. And if students, when they're at school, if of course our teachers and our staff will offer help as needed. At the schools, they also train outstanding students to help international students and local students who need help, and so we call it peer tutoring. And I mentioned district field trips. So these pictures actually were 2000. Unfortunately, in 2020, we were not able to arrange any district field trips because of the pandemic. So this year we'll have to see, depending on the government's regulations and policy, if we can arrange group activities. So we'll have to wait and see in the next few months down the road. So some students actually went to Victoria, the capital city of British Columbia, and they are actually taking a photo. They took a photo in front of the Parliament building in Victoria, and so that's a Castellano Bridge. No, this is Castellano Suspension Bridge. I'm sorry, and they are actually having fun with they call it a treetop adventure. And the other picture is the student went to Grouse Mountain, one of the local ski resorts, to explore the winter event. And in order to encourage the student to learn and engaged, we actually encourage them to participate in one of the final. In addition to supporting international students, we also support parents and custodians locally. So our multicultural workers will arrange meetings and events to meet with the custodians and parents in Vancouver. And so this picture shows you a meeting that they arranged for the parents at our Hamburg Secondary School. So the event usually it's arranged according to language. So sometimes the Vietnamese multicultural worker will connect with the parents and custodians who speak Vietnamese to get together and to go over some program information and to know what problems and every season, 4 times a year, we'll send newsletters by email to provide updates for the parents and local custodians and host families about the upcoming events and notices to them. District field trips will be organized by VSB. Okay, an agent actually asked about district field trips. So district field trips is organized by our program that all the students in our district, no matter which school that they study, they are invited to participate in the district event. And there are also school field trips that's organized at the school level, so the students can participate in any of the events that's either organized by the district or the school. So according to our government's announcement, they said this coming year from September, all the students are going back to school in person, as well as the school activities will be resumed. So we expect more school activities will be running in the coming year. And of course, following the procedures, rules, and policies about safety and health set by the Minister of Health in our province. So every year we also have scholarships for our international students. We encourage and appreciate the contributions made by our students and families. So this year, a student from China received a scholarship. I think he received 2,500 scholarship. 2,500 scholarship. Sorry, I received the message from our program. And so, in fact, every year we have about 20 to 25 scholarships that we offer to our outstanding international students. And so this Chinese student, his name is Stephen Xu, received the highest scholarship from our program. But then there is another student, the student from, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce her name. She's from Thailand. So her name is and she also received an outstanding international student award. So she received another $2,000 from our program. So for students from Vietnam, if they actually try the best, perform well, our teachers will nominate the outstanding students at their school to to this scholarship, and our committee will select about 20 to 25 outstanding students from about 100 students that's nominated by our schools to receive the scholarship every year. So now about the fees of our program. It's very affordable compared to other private schools for example, in Europe or UK. So we actually we charge 15,500 Canadian dollars a year. That is from September to June for 10 months. July and August, usually it's a summer holiday, and the students do not have to go to school. If they want to participate in our summer program, they will have to pay separately. It's about $1,850 per summer course if they would like to register during the summer. And medical insurance is $1,100 a year, and application fee is $250. So for students or students from the agents like you who have participated in our information session today. And after this session, if some students who would like to apply for a program, the application fee will be waived for your student's application. I mentioned a few times, homestaying custodian can be arranged by our co-workers in Vancouver at the prior to Canada Chief Office. Please connect with them for their assistance if needed. So the agent actually asked about this part of the presentation that I'm going to do, and I think you may be quite curious about how the system runs and how that applies to Vietnamese students. Elementary schools actually offer programs from kindergarten to grade 7 in the Vancouver schools, and secondary school offer programs from grade 8 to grade 12. So students age 5 will go to kindergarten, and then up to grade when they are 12 years old, they should finish grade 7 in the elementary school, and then they will graduate from the elementary school, then move to a secondary school for the first year in the secondary level to attend grade 8 when they turn 13 years old. According to this chart, the local students will finish grade 12 when they're 17 years old. How do we calculate the age of the student, especially an international student? Let me actually set an example. For example, if a student is born in 2000, we use the year that the student would like to join the program. For example, this September 2021, we'll use 2021 minus 2006, that is 15. So the student's age is 15 years old, no matter the month of birth of the students. For example, if the student is born in January in 2006, or the student was born in December 2006, we still use the year of birth 2006 for our calculation of the age. So that means for this year will be 2021 minus 2006 will be 15 years old. If the student is 15 years old, then we will place the student in grade 10. However, we'll give a bit more flexibility to the December babies. If a student was born in December 2006, then we'll look at the grade level the student finished in Vietnam to determine the grade level, the grade placement of the student. For example, if the student actually study in the second year of junior high school in Vietnam, even though the student was born in 2006, we will try to place the student in grade 9 because the student actually is basically 1 year behind. If the student with the same date of birth and month of birth, December 2006, finished the last year of junior high school in Vietnam, then we'll place the student in grade 10 as our regular placement. So that's the flexibility that we usually offer. And it's important to note that in our public system, local students are placed to school according to their age, no exception. So students 12 years old cannot go to grade 8, or student 13 years old cannot go to grade 7. Same for international student. So it's pretty straightforward, everything according to the age. The only exception is in grade 10, from grade 10 to grade 12, if international student coming to Canada and want to get a high school diploma, then they will have to switch from a grade level system into a credit system. The student will have to accumulate certain credits from the last 3 years of high school in order to graduate. So let me explain a little bit further in the next page. how a student can graduate from high school in British Columbia. So this is the British Columbia Secondary School graduation requirements. So to graduate, the student grade 10 to grade 12. What is credit? So if a student pass a course, passing mark, all the courses passing marks 50 points. If the student pass a 50% of the course, that means the student will be able to earn 4 credits per course. If a student pass 80 credits, that means the student passes 20 courses because 4 credits per course. It also means that from grade 10 to grade 12, in order to graduate, the students will have to pass 20 courses or 20 subjects from grade 10 to grade 12. And among these 20 subjects, some of them are required courses. Each student must complete and pass. And also some elective courses. Elective courses means a lot of different courses the student like. So this chart actually shows you some elective course selections. And of course, each school's elective course offerings are different, and there are a lot more elective course offerings than what we are showing you on this chart. So for example, in the art area, the student can basically take some general art program, ceramic, drawing, painting, graphic animations, photography. All these actually are dance, acting, band, music, choir, guitar, music composition. All these courses actually are the arts courses. And other courses may be like a business related, business management, marketing. For example, Mcgee, they have tourism, computer accounting, computer applications, business computer applications, accounting, information technologies. All these actually are business related. So other other course that may be of interest to the students are like cooking, fashion design, robotics, woodworking, drafting, and other languages, second languages, French, Spanish, Japanese, Mandarin, or other language courses that can be offered as elective courses for international to choose from. So back to the graduation requirement. So I've mentioned some elective course offerings to you, and how does it work? So in order to graduate, the students will have to achieve 52 requirements. What are the required courses? In grade 10, there are 5 courses the student must take: English, Math, Science, Social Studies, and PE. Social Studies actually is a course that for the students to learn Canadian geography, government structure, and history. So sometimes our coordinator may offer a credit transfer for social studies, and sometimes the student will have to study in BC in order to gain the credit. So in grade 10, the student will have to pass 5 required courses. In grade 11, there are 4 required courses: English, Math, Science, and Social Studies. In grade 12, there's only 1 required course, that is English 12. And there are 3 other required courses that mostly are recognized as very easily achieved. So they are, one of them is art, any kind of art program. That is one required courses. Either any arts programs from grade 12 to grade 12. So some students will easily get it, or a lot of students actually get this credit transferred from their home country. And other 2 courses are career related. So a lot of students can finish it either through online or self-paced, or all they need to do is just do some projects that they can do at any time between grade 10 and grade 12 at their according to their own schedule. And so these 3 courses, art and career related courses, actually it's not difficult to achieve. plus 28 credits of elective courses. So that actually combined of 80 credits for 3 years. And I don't know if you know about it. In our province, we don't have any provincial exam requirement anymore. So there's no more provincial examinations. However, the student will still need to write at their school three tests. It's not examination, 3 tests. Basically, it's English 10, English 12, and Math 10. So they call it numeracy 10, that is Math 10. Literacy 10 and literacy 12, that is English 10 and English 12. So they can actually talk to their counselor or teachers when they're ready to write the test, and then they will schedule a time for the student to write it at the school. So there is no more provincial examination in our province. So maybe it's a little bit confusing for our agents to understand the graduation requirements. So let me actually set an example to explain to you how Vietnamese students who finish grade 10 in Vietnam want to come and study in grade 11 and grade 12, then get a high school graduation requirement here. So for example, a student in Vietnam finished grade 10. So now finish grade 10 and the student is coming this September for grade 11. We will look at his complete school report cards from last year for grade 10 and see what subjects the student studied in Vietnam. Some of the subjects the students study in Vietnam can be transferred, but some of the credits cannot be transferred. So let me tell you which courses cannot be transferred and must take in BC. All the English courses must take in BC, English 10, English 11, and English 12. Social Studies 11, Math 11, Science 11. So all these courses must study in BC, and other courses can be transferred. For instance, a typical credit evaluation result for grade 11 students will be we can transfer Math 10, Science 10, PE 10, and Arts 10. So let's say 4 subjects of grade 10 can be transferred from Vietnam. And if the students study in Vietnam, not at an international school, but in a regular high school in Vietnam, and the courses are taught in Vietnam for 3 years in junior high school, that is from grade 7 to grade 9, we will actually recognize their language skills. So we'll offer 3 credit transfer, 3 courses of credit transfer for the student as external language. That is external language 10, external language 11, and external language 12. That's their Vietnamese skill, Vietnamese language skill. And so if we offer 3 elective course credit transfer for the student plus the 4 academic course transfer, Math, English, Arts, and PE 10, then the students actually receive 7 subjects of credits transferred to BC. So in order to graduate, then the student will have to fulfill and get the credits from the rest of the required courses plus some elective courses. So each student's graduation time will be different depending on how many credits that can be transferred to BC. And the other thing is the age. For instance, if a student actually finished grade 11 in Vietnam, it may take them a little longer to graduate. They may need more than 2 years, or at least 2 years, if not longer, to graduate high school. The reason is because I mentioned to you earlier, some of the credits in grade 11 level cannot be transferred. That includes English 10, English 11, Math 11, Science 11 cannot be transferred, and those are required courses. So for a student who study in Vietnam who finished grade 11, maybe already 17 years old, when they come over, they will have to make up some grade 10 and grade 11 courses, although they may actually have taken it in Vietnam already. So because of this transition from an education system in Vietnam to Canada. So the student will have to spend a little bit more effort in catching up with the credits here in order to graduate. So the duration, the time for the student to graduate depends on the student's English and math ability, and depends on how many credits that can be transferred ahead of time, as well as the student's ability to actually study and to cope with the situation, because it will be a high demand for the student to catch up with all the grade 10 and 11 courses. But when you look at the graduation requirement, please explain to your clients that because everything is according to the credit system. If you see the graduation requirement, there's only one required course that's needed in grade 12, that is English 12. And for the elective courses, the student will need 3 other courses to be in grade 12. Mainly, this actually is related to the student's preference as of the student's application for a university, whether a student is in an art program or in a science program, and that will change or affect the student's elective course selection. Let me actually give you another example. For example, a student actually is in grade 11 and grade 12. The student would like to go to a university and get into a science faculty. So in order to get into a science faculty, the student will need, of course, all English 10, 11, 12, and also Math 11 and Math 12. But Math 12 is not a required course. So then the student will take Math 12 as an elective. And also the student may take physics 11 and 12, chemistry 11, 12, biology 11, 12 in order to get into the science program. So that means in the elective courses in the grade 12 level, then the student will need a little bit more in the science area for the student to get into the science faculty. However, for a student who would like to get into arts program, for example, a student would like very much to get into Emily Carr University, which is a famous art university, then the student may not need math 12 level. The student may take a lot of art courses in grade 11 and grade 12 as his or her elective courses choice, in the last 2 years. But then, science 12, math 12, or social study 12, the student may not have to take because of her own preference in a university. So the choices of elective courses really depends on the student's need and interest and the career path in the future. So that's how it works in the graduation requirements. So there is one question: if a student join school at grade 11, they have to complete 80 credits, same as student join from grade 10, right? Yes. So I mentioned, one of the agents asked, if a student joined in grade 11, the student will still need 80 credits, no matter which year the student actually joined the program. The BC graduation requirement is they have to meet 80 credits. So a student who joined in grade 11 will have to see how many credits the student how many courses the student finished in Vietnam can be transferred. The credits can be transferred in Canada. That determines how many more credits the student have to finish in order to graduate. If the student if the student's grade 10 courses cannot be transferred, then the student will probably have to spend more than 2.5 years to finish high school. Compared to a student who joined in grade 10, then save a lot of hassle, because grade 9 and under, all the courses studied, actually we don't count credits towards their graduation. So that's fine. If the student joined in grade 10, then the student can actually pick up the credits as the student learned in the school in the first year. So another question from Holly: to get 28 credits in elective courses, meaning the student need to choose 7 courses in our elective course list, right? And they can study between grade 10 and grade 12, right? Yes, elective courses can be anything. And some of the elective courses, if the student come in grade 11, we probably will be able to offer a credit transfer for some of the elective courses. If not, the student can actually accumulate elective courses anytime from grade 10 to grade 12. So and any courses that's offered at the school. So that's fine. The only some of the courses actually are non-credit. For example, ELL. ELL actually it's what we called ESL in the past, English as a second language. However, they changed it to ELL, which means English Language Learners Program, because the students in Vancouver, they speak usually more than 2 languages. So English may not be the second language, so we don't call ESL anymore because it's not a second language. It might be a third or fourth language. So we call it English Language Learners Program. And so any courses in the ELL level, it's non-credit. So English, there are 3 levels of English. ELL, transitional English, and regular English. Regular English is English 10, 11, and 12. Only regular English earn credits. Transitional English actually is a little bit tricky. So all the students, before they go to school, they will have to write an assessment test, which is a test for us to evaluate their English and math levels. According to the assessment results, we'll place the student into the appropriate English level class. If a student's English is like beginner or intermediate, PLL classes at the school, and they will spend like a 1 semester or 1 year at the ELL level, and depends on their home teachers' evaluation. They can actually promote to transitional English or regular English. Some students with a higher level of English, they may be, after the English assessment result, they may be placed in the transitional English class or regular English, English 10. So if a student actually is placed in transitional English class, then it will be up to the teacher, the English teacher, to allow the student whether the student will take English 10 the next year or English 11 the next year. So the teachers can offer English 10 credits to the students if they perform well in the transitional English class. However, if the students in ELL class, even the students done well in the ELL class, the student will not get English 10 credit. And if the student finished transitional English, but the teachers thought the student English actually is good enough to take English 10 the next year, then the student will not get English 10 credits for the year that the student studying the transitional English. Then they will have to spend 1 year or 1 semester to learn English 10, then and promote to a higher level. So that's the system of English level. And so the pathway is after the student finish high school, they can apply for a post-secondary program, either in a university or in college for a diploma program. And after the student finish a degree, then they can actually apply for a master program and PhD. So that's basically a pathway. So 12 years of high school education in Canada, in BC, and 4 years of a degree program, and then 2 years of master program, and then PhD. So that's the pathway of education. So this actually concludes the presentation for today. And I know you may have some questions about our system, our program, or about my presentation. And if you want, if you have questions about the pandemic situation here now and how we're going to handle the situation and how are we going to prepare for our start of the school year, please let me know. I can actually answer your questions. So I'm going to actually pass it over to Amy and Peter to host the question and answer session, and then I'll try to answer your questions as much as I can. So do you have any questions for me? I wonder if any agents have any questions. Please feel free to ask, or you can type in the chat box and I will answer.
Aris, there's some questions on the chat box. Please check.
Sorry, it's not quite clear. Can you ask again? Hello?
Hi, Amy. Could you please repeat your question?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Now, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think that Amy has the issue with the connection. So if anyone have the question, please type in the chat box or unmute yourself to speak directly to Iris, please.
Oh, yes. I see two questions. How long it takes for admission process? When can student receive offer after submitting the application? So usually, everything now is submitted online. So as soon as a complete application is submitted online, it would take us actually 1 or 2 weeks to get back to you with a school placement or placement results. And once that we send a placement letter to you, we give the student about a month to make the payment to reserve a space at the school. So everything upon receipt of a complete application will take us no more than 14 days for secondary school students. In Vietnam, elementary students are interested in coming. So we are mainly talking about secondary school placement. So it will be very quick. Sometimes a few days. And are there any school offer IB diploma? And if yes, what are the requirements for students who would like to study IB diploma? There are 2 schools in our district that offer IB programs. One is Churchill Secondary School and another one is Britannia Secondary School. However, those schools are overly popular among local students, and we do not have enough space for local students. Unfortunately, we have to reserve those spaces for our local students, so we do not accept international students into our IB program. And can you explain student wants to study higher at college and the one wants to study at university? What are the entry requirements for elementary and secondary students, especially for grade 8 to grade 11? Sorry, I'm not quite clear if I understand these questions, but anyways, I'll try my best. So I think the agent is asking if a student actually would like to study in a college compared to a student who would like to study in university.
Yes, your understanding is right. See, comparing two students, the first one would like to apply to a college after graduation, and the other one would like seeking the bachelor degree. So are there any difference in choosing the courses between two students in secondary school?
Yes, about course offerings or we call it timetabling. We timetable the students so that they take 8 courses. Basically, the difference is not between a college and a university. It's about the student's interest and the student's interest and expectation of the future studies in the post-secondary area. The course offering depends on the student's area. For example, as I mentioned to you, whether it's a science or an art or a particular profession the student would like to be in the future, that determines the student what course the student would like to take. But then there is a difference about post-secondary institutions admission. So for example, each universities will have the admission requirements set differently. For example, UBC is very competitive, so they need very high marks of almost all the courses. Compared to a college, then maybe the admission requirement will be comparatively lower for the student to take to register in a diploma program or a special profession areas in the college. So the admission requirements may different. But the course offerings, basically, it's not that much difference because the students, high school, in order for a student to get into any type of post-secondary level, whether it's a college or university that is beyond grade 12, the minimum requirement is the student must have a doctorate diploma, which is a high school graduation certificate. So the student must have a high school graduation certificate in order to get into any of these post-secondary levels. Whether the student, after the student actually get a high school certificate, the post-secondary institutes will look at the student's specific performance in each course to accept the student. So that means even though a student graduate from high school and get a diploma, a high school doctorate diploma, however, the student's performance in each subject is only 70%. So then maybe UBC will say, oh, I cannot accept you because you only have 70% of every course, although you actually have graduated a high school, received a high school diploma. I need someone who actually is better between 85 and 95%. Or something like that. And for diploma program or in a college, they may say, oh, yes, if you actually have 70% of 70% average performance, then you actually are admissible to our program. So I think that basically that's the main difference, is the admission requirement set by the post-secondary institutes. And the entry requirements for elementary and secondary students, especially for grade 8 and 11, entry requirement, I think your question is to ask how do they apply to our program and what do we expect. So we expect the student to be average or above average, and we will basically look at a few things from their report cards. They will have to submit the last 2 years report cards to us, and we'll look at their overall academic performance, the students' the conduct, the students' attendance records, as well as school comments or teachers' comments or principal comments to determine if we will accept the student in our program. And again, from grade 9 and under, the subjects that they study do not earn credits, and that's not counted towards the graduation requirement. So my student will finish grade 9 in Vietnam, so can she apply grade 10 in Vancouver? Yes. Usually if a student finished in grade 9, we'll accept the student in grade 10. However, we also will have to look at the date of birth of the student. So if the student actually is, we place the student in the age, we call it age appropriate grade level. So I hope the student is born in 2006 so that the student will be placed in grade 10. If not, then we'll have to find a school that will either accept a student in a higher level or lower level. Student with date of birth 2004 finished grade 11 in Vietnam. So if the student would like to come in 2022, the student will be 18 years old. So that will be 2022 minus 2004, that is 18. And the student finished grade 11, that's fine. We do have some schools that accept overage students to study in a regular high school for probably 1 year. If the student is 18 years old, there are a few schools that are 18 years old to their program, but then the student will still be placed in grade 11 because there are a lot of grade 10 and 11 courses the student will have to catch up with. And then after the first year, we'll have to see how many credits the student that can be transferred from Vietnam to Vancouver, and then the student will have to finish the remaining required and elective courses from grade 11. So usually in this kind of situation, we call them overage students. They will be placed in grade 11 as some specific schools that accept overage students. And after they finish the first year, they probably will be transferred to our adult center to finish the rest of the credits in a faster manner in order to graduate high school and apply for university sooner. As I mentioned, we don't usually place a new student grade 12 because they will not be able to fulfill all the grade 10 and grade 11 requirements because those courses must be taken in BC. So we will usually place the student in grade 11. And is IELTS compulsory to apply for secondary school? No, we do not need to receive any English examination results because we do evaluate the students' English level by asking them to write our own assessment test to test their English and math skills, so we don't need to see any IELTS or TOEFL results. Can students choose what school they can study, or VSB will arrange, and students have to follow that? For example, if a student wants to go to Hamburg and of course meet all school requirements, can he or she be arranged to that school? For international students, when they submit an application, we let them choose 3 schools at their choice. So we have 18 secondary schools in our district, and 16 of them accept international students, and they can put down 3 school names on the application according to their own preference. For example, 1 Eric Hamburg, 2 Mcgee, 3 Churchill, something like that. So once that we receive an application, if the student is accepted to our program, that means all our 16 schools accept the student because we don't rank our schools. The only thing is space. For example, if the student likes to go to Eric Hamburg and the student is admissible to our program, we'll place the student to Eric Hamburg if there is space. It's on a first come, first served basis. So that means some of the more popular schools, for example, University Hill, Eric Hamburg, these actually are all full, then we'll have to assign the student to an available school. So, because actually local students, we place the student according to their home address in Vancouver. For international students, why we let them choose is because they don't have a permanent address in Vancouver, so they can choose the school. Does student have to pay tuition fee for? No, ELL program actually is part of our program. So if a student assessed low in the English assessment, then among the 8 courses the student take in a year, maybe 2 of them actually will be ELL, and then the student will take 2 other regular courses. And so that will be part of the timetable, and we don't charge extra for ELL courses. Yes. So that actually are the questions that I see from the chat box. Do you have any other questions? You may want to just ask me your questions, or you can actually still put it on the chat box.
Hi, Iris.
So yes.
Yeah, I have a question regarding to the advanced level program for international students, as you said it, because there are only two schools offer IB programs, so they are not space for international students. So are there any other programs at the higher level for them?
Yes, each school offers we call advanced placement courses, and the school offer different AP courses. If the student actually would like to take part in the AP courses, for example, Pre-Calculus 11 or AP English, there are advanced placement courses international student can register in, but the student will have to demonstrate that they are academically outstanding in particular area in order to get into the AP courses. So the counselors will be able to assign a student to AP courses. So if the student actually is very outstanding, let's say this September, the student is going to start school, the school-based orientation is scheduled on September 1st and 2nd. So they will have to bring their full year report cards to show the school counselor and tell the counselor that they want to take part in maybe 1 or 2 AP courses. And the counselor will have to make a decision as of whether the class can accept the student or whether the class is still available. So AP courses is available for international to take part in. And this year we have 2 semesters this year. So the first semester is from September to January, and then the second semester is from February to June. So we are now accepting applications for the second semester. So for February 1st, 2022 is the first day of second semester. For students who would like to apply for that, and I think they should apply now and plan to arrive in Vancouver by middle of January, serve 14 days of quarantine, and then start our